Hey friends, I was going to take you outside today to film, but it's about 39 degrees outside and freezing cold. And the wind is blowing, so I figured you would never hear anything that I had to say. And this is actually very important. I want to update you guys on some stuff that I've learned, some really good, important stuff. You know, we always know that these ETs can build portals. Like I said before, I have a portal in my room that they have built that they shove the troublemakers through. I've seen them go through that portal. We know that sometimes people accidentally step into those portals, we think, and maybe come up missing that way. That's not the only way that they can transport people. They also can transport people in large groups, en masse. When I was looking at the guardians, when they would form that like protective blanket over me, what was happening from my perspective is I would look up and I could see different beings that would be coming and peeking over the angel's shoulder and looking at me. I don't know why they were looking at me, but they were looking at me. So all these different ones were, taking their turn. Like I said, just kind of checking me out. I could see that they were up there, and it was always so dark. It would be all of a sudden, like behind me and right above the guardian, it would be pitch black in my room. Now, I live near a street light, so there's always like a little bit of light in my room, so I couldn't understand why everything was getting dark like that. It didn't make any sense. Well, night before last, I figured it out. What it is that above the angel, my ceiling becomes a giant portal. I mean, they can move people en masse. So I think what they're doing is they are bringing in groups to see me. Why? I don't know. I thought maybe they were coming and hanging out in my space because, I'm calm. I love everybody. I don't, lose my lose my stuff over things. I try to be pretty laid back, and I'm trying to help people. So I thought, well, maybe my vibe, maybe my vibration is high, and so it's more comfortable for them to come in and see a little earth person. I don't know. It was just weird, right? So I kind of thought maybe that's what it was. But like I said, it's many groups that are coming in. They're bringing groups of them. And so when they bring in these groups, they seem to all be from the same group of people, the same type of beings. A couple nights back, and I've seen something similar to this, but they're adorable. These tiny little furry black creatures. Now, they got some teeth. But they're not aggressive at all. Actually, if you talk to them and kind of smile at them and stuff, they melt and they get really, really sweet, But they're a little nervous too, I can tell. So what they're doing, like I said, is they're bringing in groups. As of night before last, I have so many guardians in my house, around my house. I mean, it is loaded with guardians. Last night was something very, very different. Last night, loaded with guardians again. This is the second night in a row that, there's been like standing room only. And I've seen them coming in on the clouds. Guys, I'm not at a high elevation. I'm probably, I'd say maybe 500, 600, somewhere around there. Not very high where I'm at. There were clouds in the trees. And that's just something that doesn't happen. And I could see them. I mean, they are so clear now. I could see them. And the thing is, it seems that I can see some beings very clear, and others I still need to use my third eye or a camera to be able to see them. And actually, my third eye is not good far away. It's only good close up. Far away, I pretty much have to use my camera to see them. So last night I had a room full of beings of guardians. Again, the white ones, right? Full. And after a little while, I noticed in the corner, in the far right back corner, there was a little group of kiss guys back there and some other naughties. I don't know. I couldn't really see them that clear because there were so many guardians everywhere. So I looked back there, and as soon as I looked back there, one of those guys grabs his buddy in a chokehold around his neck, and the guy's going, like he's getting. He was trying to bait me into getting up and going back there to help him. I kid you not, that's exactly what it was, because he was looking right at me. So I just turned my head like at him, just turn my head. Because, when they did go after one of my guardians, when he was by himself, I reacted, I jumped to it. So I think that's what he was trying to do. I thought it was good. The guardians didn't make them go. They didn't shove them back through the portal. They let them stay there as long as they stayed in the back of the room in the corner. And they also had guardians posted at my door, so nothing could come into my door. My 4 guys over on the side, I call my 90s guys, they were fighting hard all night last night, keeping stuff out. It was a trip. Then, instead of them forming the blanket, which I think that's, I think that might be when the entities, but not always. Like sometimes they form the blanket to keep them off of me. Several times when they formed the angel blanket, above them it goes completely pitch black. And that's when they're bringing in like large groups of beings. So last night though, I have never seen so many guardians. I mean, there were tons of them. And so then all of a sudden these different beings start coming down through my ceiling. Now, they were different levels of thicknesses. It seemed like they had something around them, and wind was blowing them. Even the guardians, wind was blowing. Like if you look at them and you do the one-eye thing, it removes your depth perception, so you're able to see them clearer. So even the guardians had what looked like wind whipping their hair around in front of their faces. So there's definitely something to that. So all of a sudden these giants start coming down out of my ceiling. And I mean, like their heads were as big as my torso. I mean, they were very large. They weren't super friendly. They weren't unfriendly. They were just looking at me. Now, you guys, why in the world are they looking at me? I mean, I really thought it was just they were, maybe they were coming down to see what an earth person looks like, to become familiar with our size and our shapes or whatever. And I thought, well, maybe, I've got a good vibe going on. So maybe they're not getting, as much uncomfortable energy coming into my space versus coming in someplace else into a space that's, very negative and stuff. So I figured maybe that's why they were doing it, but no. Once they've been bringing people in to show me or to show them, I kind of think it's to show them. Like they're trying to let all these different beings see me, and I don't know why. I mean, it's really got me baffled. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a humble woman, and so the thought that, they had some sort of big special plan for me or whatever is it's kind of blowing me away a little bit, because I don't understand why all of them would have to see me, or why they would all want to see. I don't know. Anyhow, it's very strange, and I can't communicate with them, so I have no idea what it is. I have no clue. But look, here's something else I want to tell you guys. I think is, I figured this out the other day, and I thought, wow, I think that's really important. We talk about how this veil is getting so thin right now. and how everybody can see through it. And initially, I was trying to figure out why the veil was so thin. And so that's how I'd found, CERN's shenanigans. I found Gordy Rose, who he started a company in Canada of quantum computers, and it's based on quantum entanglement theory. So basically, they're trying to open up portals with it. He's no longer working at that company. He's moved on to a robotics company. But so I was trying to figure out what in the world was happening, because I thought maybe if we could figure out why it's happening, then maybe we could, have some kind of influence to stop it, or at least, more information about it. But you know what, you guys? I don't think that the veil is getting thin because of something that we're doing wrong. I think the veil is getting thin because of something that we're doing right. I think that when we're looking at this as the veil getting thin, I think that we're getting a good vibration going on so hard and heavy that it's making the veil thin, because we're about to ascend. And I think that might have something to do with why all of the guardians are with me, which I'm grateful. I'm grateful they're all with me, but I wonder if that's part of it, because maybe they're anticipating that it's going to happen very soon. And for whatever reason, maybe they think that I'm going to be a target, which, speaking of that, I do have to share something a little unsettling with you guys that I noticed. I noticed it like probably a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, that one time when I posted a video, I just happened to look outside right after I got it loaded, got everything posted, and I saw this all black SUV drive by in front of my house. And I kind of chuckled to myself and said, yeah, men in black coming after me. I just kind of laughed it off. And then I noticed like another week went by and I loaded another video and it happened again. And I thought, boy, that's really strange. Just kind of wow. So I checked my security camera just to see if it was the same vehicle coming by or if they came by at certain times and stuff, because, I don't want to be thinking, anything. I don't want to be getting nervous about anything if it's not warranted. So I watched the security camera, and unfortunately I didn't have my security camera out for the last 2 videos, but it started that it would pass my house as soon as I loaded up the videos. And I load them up at different times, you guys. It's not like a set time. And then it started being every time I would export the video from an app program, they would drive by my house. I don't know if it's anything to be of any kind of concern. I don't think that, whatever's going on, it's not going to change it. It's not going to change what's happened. If any of you have the ability to download any of my videos with the photos and stuff, you might want to do it just in case. Just in case, because the thing is that there are going to be, the way I understand it, we're going to go through the 4th dimension. We're going to hang out in the 4th for a little while. And I don't know what a little while means. I don't know if a little while means that we're going to be there a day, if we're going to be there a month, if we're going to be there a year. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a long time though, really. But we will go through that phase where we will hit the 4th dimension. And in the 4th dimension, that's when people are going to be frightened. I don't think they're going to be scared at all during the 5th. I think everybody's going to be fine. But I think the 4th dimension is what I'm most concerned about, because there are a lot of correlating stories, like in the Bible. In Luke, it says that men's hearts will fail from fear of the sights that are coming upon the earth. And in the fourth dimension, these beings can change their appearance. Now, the ones who have visited me kind of regular, they might start as they're coming down out of being out, when they're coming down to see me after they've been gobbled up by the guardian. When they're swinging down to see me, they're usually starting their face transformation about, to at my shoulder length, because they're the normal face, right? And then they change their transformation and they start giving they've been giving the guardians eyeballs now, which is funny. Oh my gosh, it's funny. I have to try to, keep my cool, because I don't really know what's going on. So I can't really say, you naughty little thing, you better knock it off and they'll go get you. I don't know what to say. So I'm just quiet. I just chuckle to myself about all their silliness, especially one that turns into a dog. I probably shouldn't even say anything about him too, because you never know. He might end up being a target for one of the bigger ones. But so we're going to see all kinds of stuff in the fourth dimension. And I think that that's where people are really going to be needing the most support, is when it first happens. I almost forgot to tell you too, in my room, along with the guardians, there are also what look to me like winged people. That's the only way I can think to describe them. But they're very thin. Like, when I say thin, I mean density-wise. So, like, the guardians are very thick. I can see them very easily. Sometimes there are different beings who will come through who will be very light. And I'll have to do the one-eye thing with them in order to see them. But these are definitely very light. It's almost not much more than an outline and wings. But they're small. I think I told you guys, I told you guys about this little 2-foot winged demon-looking thing that flew over me and flew behind me, thinking he was going to surprise me. Oh boy, did we have fun. So it almost reminded me a little bit of that, but he had a very human form. Or I say he, there were several of them that were flying around my room, and one of them I got a pretty good look at. It looked like it was a male to me. So there are just many, many different types and kinds, I think. And I think that if we can just sort of keep that in our mind too, and keep in our minds about what we may be seeing, or what everyone might be seeing in the fourth dimension, I think that's going to be the most important one. Because I have seen something that looks like a dinosaur. I mean, really looks like an all-black dinosaur. 2 feet, the whole 9 yards. Also, we know the Kiss Boys are there. I've seen the little 2-foot tall, he looks like a black gingerbread man to me with fur. It cracks me up. I've seen him with red eyes. There are also a lot of these very human-looking beings that morph into different beings. One of them, I told you about the dog. He morphs into a dog, or they morph into a scary face. I told them they would be scarier if they looked like a crown of broccoli flying across the room. We've had a lot of fun. And I'm also trying to get them to raise their own vibration. I've been working on them. Because I said, listen here, you Kiss Boys, I want you to know this. We love haunted houses. We love a good jump scare. There's nothing wrong with a good jump scare. And if you can raise your vibration up to this fifth dimension, I promise you, I will help work on a haunted house for you. And you guys can be all the jump scares inside the haunted house. Because you know it's true. We love haunted houses, right? We love being scared when it's funny. Now, if we can just all keep that funny, perspective of everything, I don't think we're going to be able to, but at least you guys who are here with me, who have been seeing all this stuff taking place, you're going to be so much better prepared than anyone else. And go really, we're all going to really need you. The world's going to need you, seriously. I mean, I know it sounds dramatic, right? But it's not. It's not dramatic because it's happening and it's getting closer. I can't really tell when it's going to happen. Just when I think they've went up a notch, something bigger has happened. It's went up a notch. And I think, oh, it must be closer. Then something else happens. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like now, my whole house being filled with guardians. Outside being filled with guardians. I didn't film inside of my house because the guardians, certainly I don't have any concerns about them at all. I mean, they're amazing. But the ones who have attacked different ones that I've talked about, I'm trying to just stay away from the house where I'm talking about some of this stuff because I just don't want them to hear. If I accidentally slip and say something about, some of these guardians or others, I just don't want them to become a target. I mean, I don't ever want to see that again, what I saw with our cool guy. I don't ever want to go through that again. So I'm not saying anything about any of them because I just don't want them to be a target. For right now, they have them so under control. I mean, at least in my room, they do have them under control. But I don't know what we're looking at worldwide. And I have this suspicion that I'm not going to know until we're at least in the fourth, maybe the fifth dimension. I think it's probably going to have to be one of those steps before I'm able to communicate with them. Because I can tell that some of them can't even see me, which is weird. Because they're there, so why can't they see me? They're supposedly higher density beings. So that doesn't make any sense to me. And the fae, the sweet little fairies, I always say they have me wrapped around their tiny little fingers. And it's the truth. They do. They have me wrapped around their tiny little fingers. They are adorable. With them, here's what I kind of think happened. They were able to be a part of our world. They were a big part of our world. Up until Christianity really came hard and heavy into these different environments, they were a part of our world. I have left them gifts that I'm sure would have been things that they would have enjoyed having, and they've been untouched. So I don't really understand that because I've had them run up to me when I'm outside filming. I can hear their little footsteps in the leaves. So they're able to make a sound running. I can feel them sometimes, but it's not like they're fully in our world. So I suspect what may have happened is that as a group, that they evolved already. They've already been through the fourth, maybe the fifth. Who knows what dimension they're on now, but I think that they have already evolved because, and we talked about like the body situation, because I've heard people say that, and I'm going to tell you, this really alarms me a little bit too. I got to be honest. People saying, oh, you should eat a meatless diet. You shouldn't eat any meat. When you're ascending, when you're getting ready to go through the ascension process, you won't want meat. You won't want anything to do with eating meat. You'll just eat much lighter. You'll lose weight. You'll become slimmer, all this stuff. And I'm calling BS. I mean, I really am calling BS because I can't really say that my appetite has really changed that much. I still eat meat, and there has been a real push for veganism. One of the things that somebody brought up on another channel, which I thought was interesting, is that if we're no longer allowed to raise our own food, we're not allowed to raise any animals, that we're only allowed to, grow fruits and vegetables, crops. If we're not allowed to have meat, these people who make meat, like the Beyond Burgers and stuff like that, the only way we're going to be able to get anything that tastes like meat is through them. And we're going to become dependent on the people who make these things. They're highly processed, you guys. I mean, I eat a very unprocessed diet. I rarely ever eat processed food because I'm a severe celiac. I can't eat any wheat. So I literally grind my own rice flour because a 2-pound bag of wheat flour at Walmart is like $2.25. A 2-pound bag of rice flour is $14.99. So I even grind my own flour. I mean, I eat a very unprocessed diet. And it's really bad for you. I mean, the amount of nitrates and sodium and all this other stuff that they put in it, it's really unhealthy. But if that's the only thing that we can purchase that's commercially available, if we don't have a whole lot of other choices, then we're going to be eating this stuff, and we're not going to be able to make these things at home. It's not like we're going to be able to make this processed meatless stuff at home. I mean, I make a lot of stuff from scratch. Well, everything pretty much from scratch. So whoever is selling that stuff is going to be the ones who are going to be benefiting from it financially. And there's been somebody who's been buying up an awful lot of farms, not just here in the U.S., but in other countries as well. So it's been quite concerning. Plus, there's another part of this why if you don't eat meat, that's awesome. Good for you. I was a vegetarian for many years, but I've never been a vegan. But if you don't eat meat, that's awesome. I'm sure you're leading a very healthy lifestyle. But here's something else that I think about. We know that as far as the extraterrestrials are concerned, we've heard time and time again that these reptilian beings, Dracos, whatever, that they're here. We've heard that these, I forget what they're called, but basically insect-like beings are people eaters. Flat out are people eaters. They are the biggest threat to us. They want our planet with us not on it, and they will eat us. So whenever I go into the mountains and I'm up there, I make sure that I eat meat, like while I'm up there, before I go. And even like if I'm preparing a meal, it's the last thing I eat is the meat, because that way predators know. They can smell meat on you. And if they smell meat, they know you're a meat eater. They know that you're a predator also, and they're less likely to attack you. I took my 2 sons and my stepson to something called the Safari Park here in Virginia. It's a wonderful zoo that has lots of different animals. It was a favorite place by my youngest son. So I took the 3 boys there. Now the oldest, my stepson, was about 26 at the time. I mean, he's full grown. But I took him and my 2 boys. He's a vegan, has been a vegan since, I think he was like 16 or 17 years old, something like that. He's not eaten any meat. I was up at the picnic area setting up for our lunch, and I happened to look down, and they were walking by the tiger exhibit. And there was a tiger that was stalking my stepson. I mean, bad. You guys, it was starting to like go up against the fence. I was so alarmed. I put down the stuff and ran straight over there and said, "Oh, come on, boys, let's go have lunch. Let's go ahead and then, because I didn't want them to freak out. But then when I got my stepson kind of off to his side, I said, "Oh my God, you were being stalked by that tiger." I mean, it was so plain. You guys, I mean, they were like laying down, just being all chill and everything until Eric walked by. And when Eric walked by, that one tiger went straight after him. I mean, it was something to watch. So I'm just saying, maybe I'm being a little paranoid. I probably am being a little paranoid. But I love you guys enough to be paranoid, to just throw these things out here. See, I'm a planner. I'm a prepper. I got all kinds of stuff already, you know, just in case there's any kind of big stuff that hits the fan. Good gosh, I sure did start the ramble. I just want to tell you guys, I love you. I'm going to cut the video off for here, and I've got more stuff to kind of update you with, but I want to keep you in the loop with all this. I love you. I'll see you soon. Bye.